Thanks for joining me on the maiden voyage of the Journalism Files. My name is Ed Greenberger. I was in the TV news industry for more than 20 years, first as a sports anchor, then as an Emmy and Murrow award-winning news anchor. I want to try to educate people on how journalism works, or how it's supposed to work, because let's face it, these days, like Rodney Dangerfield, professional journalists don't get a lot of respect. A recent Gallup poll shows just a third of Americans trust the media to report news fairly and accurately. There are actually more Americans who say they have zero trust in newspapers, TV, and radio. Then there's social media, where you scroll through your feed and you see tweets screaming about the mainstream media being evil or the enemy of the people. And then you find the ones about journalism not being a real profession and how anyone can do it. Well, I'm here to tell you it is a real profession, one that's actually essential to democracy and freedom, and not everybody can do it, or do it properly at least. And that's where we have a real problem. Social media has brought about the rise of citizen journalism, which has the potential to be really scary. I mean, anyone can point a smartphone at a wildfire and get some great video, or interview the victims of a natural disaster and post it to Twitter, X, or Facebook. And that's a good thing. It gives us real-time updates from the scene of newsworthy events. But what about other kinds of stories? Politically charged stories, or stories where a person or an organization is accused of wrongdoing. If you don't understand journalistic standards and ethics, you're probably going to end up doing more harm than good. Let's take a look at James O'Keefe. Some on the right call O'Keefe the last true journalist in America. He founded the far-right organization Project Veritas, which is known for its gotcha segments that typically include heavily edited secret recordings that are supposed to be exposing left-wing or institutional organizations doing bad things. O'Keefe isn't necessarily someone you'd call a citizen journalist, since he worked for a decent-sized organization, but his work has a lot of the hallmarks of shoddy citizen journalism. Right before he was ousted from Project Veritas, O'Keefe broke a story that Pfizer was working on the idea of mutating the COVID virus so they could sell and profit off new vaccines. O'Keefe had video of what he said was a Pfizer employee who was bragging about the whole thing to an undercover reporter he thought he was on a date with. Now, if you've seen it, this story has so many things wrong with it, I need a 10-part series to go through it all. Such as, is anticipating virus mutations necessarily a bad thing for a vaccine company to do? Would that truly be gain of function, as O'Keefe states? Is the Pfizer guy just BSing to impress a date, as he later claimed? And don't get me started on secret recordings. That's a whole other bottle of ink. Most importantly, O'Keefe broke a cardinal rule of journalism. He never appeared to give Pfizer a chance to respond to the allegations. Nowhere in his video did he include a response or a statement from Pfizer. He never even said he contacted Pfizer for a comment on the story. That's not just Journalism 101, that's something you learn in the first week of your high school journalism class. If you're working on a story that accuses a person or organization of doing something wrong, you need to give that person or organization a chance to respond before you publish the story, and include that response in your reporting, even if it's no comment, or just to let us know they didn't respond at all. If you don't do that, all you've got is a slanted piece. It's not journalism. By the way, I contacted O'Keefe to ask him if he did in fact give Pfizer a chance to respond before publishing the story. He said he did, so I asked him why he didn't include the company's response in the story, and he didn't explain that. And to those who say, well, the guy in the video works for Pfizer, he's speaking for the company. No. First of all, he doesn't know he's being recorded. Second, he's not at work. He's at a restaurant, where as far as he knows, he's on a date. In no way can his comments be considered an official statement from Pfizer. Also, O'Keefe shows up on camera throughout the piece, editorializing and unmistakably trying to guide his viewers to the conclusion that Pfizer is evil. He sarcastically uses air quotes and accuses Pfizer of hiding information from the public. Not even a shred of objectivity there. That, my friends, is not journalism. Does O'Keefe know he's not doing actual journalism? Who knows? But it doesn't really matter, because his audience doesn't understand it either. To them, he's a superhero. And that's the pitfall with citizen journalism. This is an extreme example, but it shows that if you're not a professional journalist working in a bona fide, reputable newsroom surrounded by other professional journalists and editorial managers, there's a good chance you're not doing it right. No reputable news organization would have ever aired that piece without Pfizer's response. Look, pretending that journalism is easy and anyone can do it is ridiculous. It's like a couch potato football fan who screams at the TV that he could call better plays than his team's offensive coordinator. No, he can't. It's fun to say, but it's completely absurd. Journalism is a profession. It's often the only thing standing between us and anarchy. Freedom of the press is a bedrock of American democracy, but that freedom should and does depend on the press conducting its job properly, with time-tested ethics, standards, and protocols. And if it's not, and tens of millions of Americans don't know the difference, then we've got a problem. Thanks for joining me. I'm Ed Greenberger. I'll see you the next time on the Journalism Files.